Hi guys, so we're back for another Thursday's devotional Thursdays as I like to call it. We are going to be covering spiritual inventory. So now there's two parts to this one. We touched on it a little bit last week. It's basically writing down all the events that has happened, whether good or bad in your life. Maybe there's a few things that you want to specifically focus on. But yeah, just going more into details about that. So let's just get straight into it. When we began our recovery journey, we were anxious to complete the process as quickly as possible. Over time, we realized that our hurts, hang-ups, and habits hadn't developed overnight, and they aren't going to be instantly removed either. The 8 principle provides an action plan that allows us to continue to work on our recoveries or healing. I like to say healing. It goes then into a little story of a couple who goes to Europe or plans a Europe trip. Now, we know when we plan a trip, there's so many factors that you have to think about, whether accommodation, plans, activities that you might want to do. So they were really overwhelmed by the whole idea of planning a trip and getting everything sorted. So they decided that they would just separate things or like minimize just arrange things into smaller bite-sized pieces. So just focusing on one thing at a time to make it more easier. So they would choose a destination or make a reservation, and next time they would, just sit down and collect maps or make sure that they're prepared for whatever weather is at that country that they're going to. Eventually, the planning took a great deal of time, right? Persistence and patience, but they ended up having a wonderful adventure to commemorate. It was their wedding anniversary, so it was for a celebration. So the goal for our spiritual inventory are, number one, to form a closer relationship with our higher power, Jesus Christ. Number two, to forgive ourselves and others for our past. And number three, to become spiritually healed. To be successful with each of these objectives, a course of action is required. When completing the participant's guide, so with CR, we actually have study guides. So to help you through this step, we actually have questions that will trigger maybe like a memory or something that has happened in your life, just to prompt you and guide you through those healing steps. So if you're ever interested in doing what we call a step study, please reach out, and I can help you out with that. Where was I? To be successful with each of these objectives, a course of action is required. When completing the participant guides, we need to a private place and a scheduled time to work on our answers. It's critical that we stay connected with our accountability partners and sponsors so we don't feel alone. We need to learn how to keep our answers balanced with regards to our weaknesses and our strengths. Although this will require time, persistence, and patience, we'll ultimately be able to celebrate the adventure with a changed life. So it's worth it, is what basically it's saying. With persistence and patience, very much like the couple who planned a trip. It was dreadful, but by the end of it, they enjoyed it. Okay, it was freeing. Most of us don't like to look within ourselves for the same reason. We don't like to open a letter we know contains bad news. But remember that we need to keep our evaluation or inventory balanced. It's critical that it take into account both the good and the bad qualities that makes us who we are. So the good and the bad builds who we are. Okay, so don't be so ashamed of the bad stuff that has happened in your life, or the bad stuff that you have done in the past. As you begin to work on your spiritual inventory in Principle 4, you need to look at several areas of your life. Before launching into this endeavor, pray this prayer. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. This is from Psalm 139:23. The area we need to evaluate is that of our relationship with others. In Matthew 6:12-14, Jesus instructs us to pray, "Forgive us our debt, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you." In this area of our spiritual inventory, we explore our resentments and grudges, and we determine whether we're jealous of someone else. Taking the time to evaluate whether you've been blaming others for your own ill-advised choices, and be sure to list those people you've hurt, been critical, or gossiped about. The second area to explore is that of our priorities in life. We naturally do what's important to us. Others identify our priorities by our actions, not by our words. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus tells us what will happen if we make God our number one focus. It says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. In this section, seek to identify those areas of your life in which you're still putting God first. Notice whether or not priorities have been self-centered or self-serving. Examine the possibilities that misplaced priorities may have had a negative effect on those close to you. The next area of our spiritual inventory involves examining our attitude. Ephesians 4:31 counsels us to get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Look for areas of your life for which you're ungrateful. Reflect upon whether you've been easily angered or sarcastic towards someone else. I know I'm guilty of that for sure. Explore why you're still fearful of certain people and situations. The fourth area to look at in this part of our spiritual inventory is that of our integrity. In Colossians 3:9-10, we're instructed, "Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator." Look for areas in your life in which you've been dishonest, areas in which you have exaggerated your own good qualities or achievement to make yourself look good. Examine whether or not you live a way in front of your Christian friends and another way at home or at work. That's an interesting one, because like a lot of us have masks in different places. I know I've definitely been one person somewhere and a different person another environment. So we tend to shift based on who we are around. And to be honest, I find coming out about my faith and everything has been so freeing, because it is who I am, and it is what makes me happy, and so there's no reason why I should hide that. And so and I guess what I'm trying to say is it's okay to be yourself in every situation, in every places, because being your true self is so important for your freedom, for your happiness, for your genuine happiness.